Been a little bit, huh? Well, I'm gonna try and do some reviews again. So I'm gonna start with this guy right here, a Gundam kit. Yeah, I like Gundam kits. They are a lot of fun to build, but I kind of gotten out of it for a while. Then I watched Gundam Build Fighters, and I got back into it. And well, this is one of the kits that I've bought recently, and I want to talk about it today. And it is the high-grade After Colony Wing Zero, released earlier this year for a decent price. I believe it ran about $20 American. So let's zoom in, and we will talk about the sculpt and how it's placed in terms of the colors. Okay, so let's get this out of the way right now. Wing Zero looks fantastic. Okay, you've got all the major sculpted details really picked out well. Okay, the head. Oh gosh, the head looks awesome. I'm gushing a bit, but it's because I like the sculpt a lot. Seriously, and the fact that you don't have to move it that much to get a really kind of nice, intimidating look. Okay, the length of the wings on the back is good as well. You've got something that's really nice. It's not like the 1/100th Wing Zero when that first came out back in the 90s. Okay? It's a nice length. Okay? All the major details in terms of the color are molded in the correctly colored plastics. Okay? These things here are yellow as opposed to the original Wing Zero, which were stickers. The only stickers you get are these thruster thingies, these things on top of the thruster wings. Okay? Then you get the basics on the head. You've got the eyes and the cameras. 2 in the front, 1 in the back. Okay? And then you've got the two scanners on the side of the search eye. I think there might have been 1 in here. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then you've got 2 stickers for the tip of the Buster Rifle. And then you've got 2 stickers here on the shield. Okay, 1 to wrap around the little yellow section and the camera. All in all, really good stickers and really good molding, except for one thing. There is a giant, blatant hole in the back. Okay? The high-grade wing actually had a cover for it. Why couldn't they do that with this kit? Alright, so let's move on to articulation, and we'll see how good this guy does in terms of articulation. So, articulation. I'm going to start with the head and kind of work my way down and around. Alright, the head is on a double ball joint, which is nice. You get a full 360. But if you're noticing, as I turn it, we get into the other problem. I'm going to pop the head off for a sec to illustrate this. You see what happened? The lower ball joint, which is just really designed to rock backwards and forwards, turns with the head itself. Ooh, that's tough to move. Sorry. You can see it rocks back and forth and it's supposed to, but because there's no things on the side to keep it from moving, it basically it can move when you move the head, and it's really a problem. Okay, it's one of the 2 spots that I really feel the articulation lets down a bit, but it serves its purpose, and really I'm making a mountain out of a molehill to a certain extent. The shoulder joints, they're actually really nice. They're on a ball joint, so they can do everything a ball joint does, and they hinge forward. It's really good, and this is really handy for a couple of good poses. But, and this is one of those minor things I made a mountain out of when I first built the kit, because when I first built the kit, these were really stiff. I was a lot more likely to actually pop the ball joint out of the poly cap as opposed to actually move the shoulder forward. So, you might notice this when you build the kit, but it gets better over time, and right now it moves really well. But you can also turn the arm all the way around, so that's good. Underneath the shoulder, you've got an arm that can move out that far, and you've got these little wing thingies here that get out of the way well. So, this moves okay. Alright? But it can get loose over time. It's just a plastic-to-plastic joint. So, be wary of that. Now, you also have a wee little engine in here that can move up and down, just like that. Alright? And these things can move up, and these shoulder things can open up as well. Hang on. There we go. See? The blue section and the white section opens up. And I'm going to talk about the white section in more detail a little later on. Alright? But let's move on. You've got a swivel all the way around there. Really nice. Double jointed elbow. Really good range on that. And a good ball jointed wrist. Okay? Never underestimate the value of a good ball jointed wrist. Okay? Now, in theory, the waist joint is nice. It's got a good double ball joint. But there are two factors that really kind of take away from it. One, that's way too weak. Seriously, this thing, I've had this pop off so many times. Like, in an earlier take of this, the waist joint popped off. And the upper ball joint doesn't even really do a whole lot. You see, I'm trying my best to use it, and it's barely doing a thing. I feel like this could have been done a lot better. Okay, seriously. But the waist rotation is 360, again, for the transformation. But, you know, it does what it needs to on that. Alright, the front skirt armor is molded together, but it can be separated through a good pair of plastic cutters. And if you built a Gundam kit, you probably got one of those. And they can go forward about that far. The side skirt armor, it's on a polycap peg hingy kind of affair. So it can rotate, actually pretty well, and it can hinge up fairly decently. Alright? The back skirt doesn't move. It's a 1/144th kit. I don't really expect the back skirt armor to move on a 1/144th, to be perfectly frank. Legs go out really far. They don't go back all that far. Okay? And there's a little thingy here that acts like, for lack of a better descriptor, Type 1 figure arts joints. So you can get a good kneeling pose. Also helping with a good kneeling pose is a double jointed knee. You can see right there, really, really nicely double jointed. Okay, now as for the rest of the lower leg, you've got this part of the back of the leg that hinges out for transformation. So you aren't really going to use it that much for mobile suit mode. This part of the ankle armor moves up and down, and it gets a good range depending on where you've got the foot. This can come in handy for some various poses. Alright, and as for the foot itself, you've got a hinge right there on the inside of the foot, and that ends in a good ball joint, which has a good bit of range as long as you aren't knocking it against the rest of the ankle armor. So, and that's it for the core mobile suit, but that still leaves the wings. Now, they aren't quite as nice as, say, the Master Grade Zero Proto. They don't hinge out together, but they do hinge out pretty well. Okay, and then you've got this hinge right here that allows you to move it backwards and forwards, which culminates in a ball joint connecting directly to the thruster. Okay, it's a good ball joint. Pops off sometimes, so it's not nearly as bad as the waist. And the ball joint itself is also hinged, but that's just as much for transformation as anything else. And finally, you can move the wing covers themselves straight up. It looks really nice, and this really looks good in several poses. So, that's it for articulation. So let's say we pop on over and see what the accessories are. Alright? Okay, so you get everything you need to in terms of accessories with Wing Zero. Okay, you get his twin buster rifle, which I showed off earlier really quick, but I'm going to talk about it. It does split in half. It stays together very well, too, so you don't have to worry about it. And the way the handles work is you just grab there, and the handle flips down, and this allows you to put one rifle in each hand. Very handy if you want to show him dual wielding the buster rifle. Or you can collapse the handle and just slide it right on for holding it in a single-handed pose. Very nice. And the And the arm it's a good combination of being strong enough to support the weight of the rifle, and the rifle itself is light enough to be easily held at full extension. Okay? The next major accessory you get is the shield. Very nice shield. Looks very, very good. I love the fact that you actually get the molded white around it as opposed to the original Wing Zero 1/144th, where it was just basically a block of red and some stickers. I think there was some yellow, but either way. The way you clip it on is you just fold down this clip, and then you just see this little hole right here. I'll talk about why there's super glue on it in a bit. And then you just clip it on, and it helps sometimes if you adjust it in a little bit. It can slide up into it, and the shield holds on without a problem. Now, when I first put the kit together, and this may have just been a case of it was just my kit, but the shield was always really loose until I put some glue in there to strengthen the joint. So that is something to be wary of, but that was probably just my kit. The final major handheld accessory are the beam sabers. Very nice. You do get two. Very nice clear green beams, and they can be removed from the handle. But this comes into what I was mentioning earlier about how I would talk about, what this would do. So, like I mentioned earlier, you can crack open the shoulder armor, the white sections where the beam sabers are stored. And when you look, and let me see if I can get this in the camera well, you can see two little tracks. Okay? And if you align the saber hilt up just right, it can actually stay in there. So you think, oh, that's cool. Maybe I can actually close it and store the beam sabers on him. Nope. You literally don't get any saber storage on the kit. And this is my second least favorite thing about the kit after the loose waist. Okay, you don't get proper saber storage. Also, you get replacement feet for Neo Bird Mode. I'll talk about those once we get to the transformation. And then finally, the last major kind of feature / weapon, let me pop the head off so I can do this easily, are removable Gatling covers. Okay? This is like the first 1/144th Wing Zero to have these, and while I do appreciate them, I do find them ridiculously tiny. Seriously. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to paint them at some point in the near future, and they'll probably look fantastic when they're done. But they're just so bloody tiny. Okay? So, that's all for the accessories. Now, as we all know, Wing Zero has a really neat feature where it can transform into Neo Bird Mode. So, let's talk about what that is. So, the transformation. I usually like to split this into like 2 or 3 sections, taking advantage of the easily splittable waist. So, I'm going to start from the bottom and kind of work my way up. So, I'm going to set aside the upper section, and we'll start at the very bottom. First, pull out the feet. Okay, now the way this actually comes into some nice engineering, the ball joint actually is a lot stronger than the hinge joint in the foot. So you pull out the entire foot and the ankle joint. If this doesn't come off, i.e. if the foot pops off at the ankle, you're going to want to go ahead and make sure that you remove this gray section. It's quite necessary. And then we repeat with the other foot. Now, you see this little engine right here? Yep. You pop it off, and then you set the foot to the other side. And then you take the special transformed foot, and then you just slide it on in, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat the other one just really quick, kind of out of frame. And there we go. Now, as for the legs themselves, they work together, they go really simply. you just fold the lower joint down, and then you fold the upper joint up. Okay, really, really easy, and then you just kind of position the feet how you like. I usually like them kind of high up. And then fold down the covers on the back, and then, actually, let me do this one so you can see a little easier. You want to slide the red line up here into the gray polycap. Just slide it in, and then just make sure that you can close the foot properly, and then bring down the armor. And now, let us just repeat with the other one. And there we go. I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of the fact that I've got a Tamashii stand right here. This is an Act 4, which works pretty well. If you've got an action base for 1/144th scale kits, those will work just as well. But this is what I have. And there we go. Now then, for the upper body, really simple, honestly. First, turn the head around. I usually pop it off and then pop it back on the other way, just because I find that a little easier than having to try and deal with the neck joint. Then, straighten out the white little wing, the white part there, and bring down the shoulder armor onto the arm, and just kind of bring the arm down a bit. Okay? Then, the next thing you're going to want to do is just go ahead and open the wings. Okay? Now, I'm going to set this aside for right now to talk about the third part, which is probably the simplest part. You take the shield, you take the bust rifle. If you have a handle out, go ahead and fold it up, and then you just split it in half. And on the shield, make sure you've got the clip that connects it to the arm for mobile suit mode in place. And then you just take this little slot right here, this little tab right here, and bring them together. Really simple. And there we go. Then just take the upper half of the mobile suit, and you see those two little slots right there on the backpack? You take these two little tabs right here on the back of the shield, and you just peg them in. Really simple. Okay, it's a 90s transformation. This is no Zeta or double Zeta. And quite frankly, I'm always kind of glad, because I know the high grade UC does a lot of parts for me, but I like a nice simple transformation. Technically, you don't have to do the whole splitting thing if you've got one with a good waist joint. The final step, just go ahead and slide this bit together if you split it like I have. And there we go. One Wing Zero in Neo Bird. Okay, I gotta be honest. Wing Zero, like a lot of the stuff for the kit, looks fantastic in Neo Bird mode. The issue that I had with the shield, which I don't quite think I mentioned, but I find it kind of big for mobile suit mode. But in bird mode, it looks fantastic. It really it's got a lot of size to it that really helps it stand out. And really, this just looks awesome. I was about to say another word entirely, which would have really dated me as a nerd. Okay, but just suffice it to say, the Neo Bird mode, it's probably, if not the best feature of the kit, it's definitely up there. But in conclusion, so the high grade After Colony Wing Zero is a great update of the old no grade 1/144th, with solid articulation, much better wing design, and a fantastic Neo Bird mode. However, there are a few too many issues to say that it is better than the high-grade Build Fighters Build Strike or the high-grade CE Ale Strike kit, which are my current standard for fantastic 1/144th high grades. Finicky points of movement, a waist joint that pops off way too easily, and accessories that cannot store on the kit all drag it down from outstanding to merely good. I would recommend this kit wholeheartedly to fans of Wing Zero or Gundam Wing. as well as fans that are collecting all the lead Gundams. However, those that are looking for a fantastic kit, I'd probably steer them more towards the high-grade CE Ale Strike, but that's another review for another day. Thanks for letting me chew your ear off, so to speak, and hopefully I'll be able to get back in the groove of making reviews.